Hi, welcome to episode one of Grace in Every Season. This episode is titled My Story, His Glory. So today I'll be going over my testimony, hopefully to strengthen anybody else that's been through what I've been through, or just to give someone a different perspective of how God's grace is in other people's lives, or just to open people's eyes to God's glory in general. So to start off, my name is Naima. I go to Fort Valley State University. I'm 20 years old and I've been following Jesus for a little under a year, but I've been believing in Jesus for 3 years. It sounds crazy, but y'all will understand why I said it like that. I have questions that I'm gonna go down the line of so I can stay on track. But the first one is, what was my life like before I truly encountered God's grace? And to simply answer, my life was unfulfilled. I wasn't fulfilled by anything that I was trying to do. To go deeper into it, I never really grew up in church. I didn't have any belief system as far as like whether I was Christian or anything like that up until I'll say I was about my high school years, like ninth grade. That was around COVID time, so I was in the house. I was just doing stuff, so I started dabbling into new age spirituality. I started having crystals and things like that. And around that time, I would say that was the most depressed I was. I know a lot of people can relate to that because COVID was like a tough transition, like just being from outside every day in school to just completely home hybrid. Like that was a very tough shift. But during that time, I was encountering like spiritual things and I thought I was going in the right direction. I would see things called shadow people. It's like spirits that feed off of negative energy. I would see those a lot. I continuously had sleep paralysis. I was able to lucid dream, but it wasn't really like it wasn't anything positive about the experience. And I was dealing with that for probably a year. And like I said, during that time, my life was just very depressing. It was very, I'm gonna use the term low vibrational. That's what I would have used back then. Um, it was just not what I thought it was. And I did believe in a higher power. It wasn't Jesus at the time, but I still believed in a higher power. I believed in God. I just didn't know him to be Jesus Christ as I do now. But further on, I came out of that. I wasn't really dealing with that anymore, but I still didn't know Jesus. So I had two deaths in my family. It was my grandmother and my sister-in-law. And that was around the time that I graduated. So I started going to parties. I've never been to parties before that. Started going to parties. I started drinking a lot, started smoking a lot. And I wasn't really in the party scene for too long because something happened. It wasn't traumatic, but it just threw me off to where I just didn't want to drink at all anymore. And that lasted about from I'll say July 2023, June or July 2023, all the way only like 2 months till like August, late August, and I started back drinking because that's when I came to college. So in college, I didn't really I had a group of friends and I didn't really know better, I'll say. Nobody really gives the rundown on like when you come to college and like how alone it is. So I did run with, I'm not going to say the wrong crew, but it just wasn't people that reflected who I wanted to be or who I was at the time. So that drugged me down a little bit more and I ended up falling out with some of them, but I was still smoking and drinking a lot more than I did before. So God surprisingly put me in, at this time I believed in God, but it wasn't really like strong. Like I knew there was a God, but I wasn't really doing anything about it. And funny thing is, the day before I went to college, I got prayed over 3 times with my cousin. And it was at 3 different churches by 3 different people. And they just continuously kept praying over us, praying that like we just kept our heads strong in college, and I'm grateful for those people that prayed over me. I do not remember them. I didn't even know them before that day, but I'm very grateful for them. But I'll say 3 months down the line, like October, I was in like a isolated season, and I didn't even know it at the time. I was just falling out with everyone, and I didn't really have anybody, so all I had to look on was the God. The only person I was able to look on was God, and I'm so grateful for that, because that was the time that my life changed. If I'm being so sincere, that's when I actually was like, okay, I believe in Jesus. But even after that, I was still in the partying scene, and I was still like, I didn't like parties though. That's the funny part. But I would still go to parties. I would still drink. I would still smoke. It was till November that I stopped drinking and smoking. But I stopped drinking alcohol, and I was still going to the partying scene. I would go there, and they would try to give me drink, try to give me shots, and I'd be like, no, I'm not. I don't drink alcohol. I drink wine, thinking like that's any better, because I'm still in the position of like being somewhere that I'm not meant to be, like the partying scene. That's not glorifying anything that I stand for. That's not glorifying God. That's not helping my cause of like leading people to Christ. Because at this time God was putting me in seasons of ministry, like making videos on my page, doing podcasts and things of that sort. This is around like December, January, February. So I ended up getting into a relationship around April, May, and this was 2024 now, and I was still being lukewarm in that relationship, and I was battling it, of course, but I wasn't doing things to take me out of the predicament to be like tempted, if that makes sense. Like, I was still spending the night with this person. I was still doing things that God wouldn't deem as like holy. So I was getting put in predicaments that I wasn't supposed to be in. So that was on me. But over time, I had, over the summer now, and I was like really battling because I was in New York. I wasn't home. Like, I was with my dad. So I was really battling because I was by myself. I didn't have my sister, didn't have my friend, didn't have anything like that. So, come back to school August, the whole summer abstinent, wasn't able to do anything regardless. And I came back, and but started dwelling in that again, started dwelling in sexual immorality and stuff like that. And I'll say up until October 2024, I was still dwelling in that with my now ex. And it ended. Yeah. We ended things, and it was like that until like the end of December, because we went on what's called Christmas break. And sadly, January came back, and I fell into that again, but we just completely cut things off because I knew that's not what I wanted to do. So February 2025, I completely surrendered to Christ. I gave my all to him. And the funny thing is, I was still, even though I had that, I was still battling lust and sexual immorality within that relationship. I was still trying to lead people to Christ. And even though people couldn't see that side, they couldn't see that part of my life, it was still dwelling, like it was still bothering me on the inside, because I knew that I was being a hypocrite. I'm telling people, hey, partying isn't this, partying isn't that, drinking, no, smoking, no. I stopped all of that, but I was still dealing with me laying in a bed with somebody that God did not deem for me to lay in a bed with, somebody I'm not married to. So after I completely surrendered everything to God, I'm not going to lie, it was a full transformation. It was a full transformation. And if I could do it again, I would. Like, I continuously do it every day, but like that specifically, I love this person so much, but it was the best thing that I could have did because it showed God how much I loved him. And further on from that, God started opening doors for me. I became vice president of a ministry on campus with my beloved friends that I met. Thank the Lord. I began doing events with them, actually being able to have a voice without feeling like I'm being a hypocrite, a Pharisee, whatever, we call it these days. And I was able to fully walk in my purpose. So I'll say from then till now, like I said, I never grew up in a church. So my first time getting baptized was this year, August 24th. And my walk has been ever since I surrendered. That's why I said there's a difference. I'm gonna let y'all know. Ever since I surrendered, that's when I started following Jesus. That's when I started following his word. And yes, I was following it before, but it wasn't until I fully surrendered to everything and allowed him to lead my life, and I follow after him, that I could fully walk in my purpose that he had for me. Because before, I'm not sure if my name was written in the book of life because I knew what I was doing. It's not like I was falling into that sin. I was walking in it. Yes, I was convicted, but I was getting comfortable because I continued to do it without saying like, hey, until I did. But that's what my life was like before and after I encountered God's grace. I kind of went off, but on a tangent, but that was before and after. So, says, what moment or situation made you realize you couldn't do life without him? It was, I'm not good with dates, but the days that I'm saying are like very important to me because it's like those milestones, like you remember it. But it was July 13th, 2024, during the summer. I'm not an emotional person at all. I'm a crybaby, but I'm not emotional, which is crazy. But I was in a car and a situation happened where, first off, it's my mom's birthday and it's my grandma's death anniversary. So during that day, something happened and that was my first time ever crashing out. I didn't really crash out, but I had a breakdown. Like, I think that day changed my whole brain chemistry. And sorry, God, I'm being completely vulnerable. Like, I feel like vulnerability helps other people. Like, it helps other people see things. But that day really changed my brain chemistry on everything. And I was yelling at God. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was asking him why. And I was like, that day was just insane. I'm not gonna lie. But I was yelling at God. I didn't curse at him, but I was having a shouting match with God, and he answered me. And he showed me why that situation happened. And I was like, okay, I see you. I see. And that situation made me realize, like, although I'm dealing with that, although like I feel this way in that second and I'm yelling at him, I'm nothing without him. Like, he calmed me down in that. Like, I didn't think I could be calmed down. Like, I thought I was going like mentally insane, but he really calmed me down in that moment, and that made me feel like peace, like a peace that I couldn't get on my own. I couldn't get it from smoking. I couldn't get it from drinking. I couldn't get it from having sex. I couldn't get it from anything but him. And he calmed me down in that moment. And I've never felt like that ever in my life. That's why it was so important to me, because I'm always like, anybody around me knows, like, I'm just very, I don't know the word. Like, I'm just very, not to say it like that, but I'm very chill. I don't do a lot. I'm very hyperactive, but like, as far as like emotion wise, I'm not hyper. I don't react off of my emotions. I respond like with thinking. I got that from my dad. But yes, that was definitely something that made me realize that I couldn't do life without him, and many other things. He just continuously reminds me, like, hey, I'm with you in this, and it shows me like, hey, I need you. Like, it shows me why I need him every single time. But that was just one of the major points in my life, well, in my walk with Christ, that made me realize that I do need him. Oh, this one is good. This one is good. Okay. It says, what has changed the most about your heart since surrendering to him? Y'all, oh my gosh. Okay, so gotta sit up for this one. My heart was bitter, like, to say the least. My heart was so bitter, and I was angry all the time. I was an angry child, and I'm not sure why. Before like a major situation happened, I'm not sure why, because I was even like angry and bitter before then. I was always fighting and arguing with teachers, and talking back to my mom, just different things. And I was just an angry child. But coming to Christ has made me do a full 180. Like, I wouldn't even recognize myself if I seen me as a child right now. It's really no words. Like, I was bitter. I'm trying to, like, hearing me say that out loud, it's like, yeah. But my heart now, I really have a heart of the Father, like, and I'm striving to get it there more and more every day. But God's love is really reflected in my life, like the way that I love people who've done me wrong. God actually put me in a position recently to pray over somebody that hurt me in my past, and it did more. I'm pretty sure it did a lot for them, but it did a lot more for me than it did them, because it opened my eyes to the true, like, I knew God's love before, but it opened me to the true love of God. It opened me to the true sacrifice of God. It opened me up to, like, understand his love more and more, because you can love Jesus all day. You can love Jesus all day, but what does it look like when he calls you to love Judas? You can love the people who love you. It says it in scripture. It says it in Matthew. We can love the people who love us, but what good would that do? Love the people who hurt you. Love the people who've wronged you. Love the people who other people wouldn't love. And that really opened my eyes to that scripture right there. Just like I said, to the love of God. Because me months ago, I would not have obeyed God when he told me to go pray over that person. And I'll probably open up about it on a later podcast, later episode. But that really, like, God has changed my heart so much. Like, he's made me into a new creation, first and foremost. I know a lot of people, I really wanted to make a testimony video just so people could understand that it's not a facade. It's not me faking. It's not, oh, you want to be holier than thou. It's me encountering the true Jesus, not the Jesus that the world says he is, not the Jesus that most Christians have made him out to be, but the true Jesus Christ who transforms. And this testimony, or my story, his glory, is really just showing the difference in, like, who I used to be and who I am now, and why it is that way. And my heart is like, it's still, got a dot in my flesh every day, but compared to even like 2 months ago, my heart is constantly being renewed by God himself. And I'm just grateful for it, because I didn't want to stay in that place. I didn't want to stay content in being angry, being bitter, being unforgiving, being all the things that I was blind to be honest. But I don't even know what changed the most about my heart, just my heart in general, to answer the question at hand. But last question is, What would you say to someone who feels too far gone for grace? I would say that in scripture, in the New Testament, in Paul's writings, he tells us that he, a Gentile, was able to receive Christ's love. He persecuted Christians. He was joyful about it. He persecuted Christians, but on his way to Damascus, Jesus touched him. And Jesus said, "Hey, you're coming with me." And him living the life that he was living, he still followed Jesus, and he was able to be transformed. And the point in that scripture, I'm gonna put it up here too. The point in the scripture is to show, because he didn't use him for no reason. He didn't use Judas. He didn't use Paul. He didn't use any of them for no reason. He used Paul to show that no matter what you have done, because he was killing God's own people. He was killing God's followers. No matter what you've done, no matter if you're a drunkard, if you fornicate, if you're an adulterer, you're still able to have God's grace while you're on this earth. So take it and live a life that's pleasing to him. People leave out that part a lot. That's why Christianity is becoming the way that it is now. And I love Christianity, but gotta be real. But that's why Christianity is becoming how it is now, because people leave out the part of transformation. Yes, you can believe in Jesus, but transformation comes after it. He gives you grace, use it. Allow that grace to transform you. Allow that grace to make you a new creation. Allow that grace to make you into the person that he intended for you to be, because he made us in our image. But then we got outside of that once we were born into sin and Adam and Eve ate the apple, we came outside of that. But when we allow for him to make us a new creation, we go back into that intended design that he had for us. So I would say, for whoever is struggling with taking our grace, take it. Like, it's there for a reason. It's never ending. His grace is never ending. His mercy is never ending. While you're on this earth, serve God, because he deserves to be served. And don't let anybody tell you that you're too far gone for his grace, because that's a lie straight from the enemy himself. If I would have believed that, I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't be going where God is intended for me to go. And y'all probably heard him this whole time, but this is my baby. But he got a whole bunch of fur. Oh my gosh. But that's really it. I hope that this episode helped whoever it needs to help. I hope I wasn't talking in circles, and I hope that my testimony did something for even just one person. Oh my gosh. This is a real rotten uncut, y'all, but I hope my testimony really did something for somebody, and I hope that y'all tune in for I'm trying to get it done. I hope y'all tune in for the next episode. That's it.